Good day, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of AI Climbing with Sheikh. Today's topic is more about the blueprint of autonomous AI, and we all know this is becoming an important and hot topic. And let's try to explore this thing together. Just to add a context, we know a typical telco or a general networking business where there are really a number of domains that need to be stitched together, that needs to carry intelligence between domains, and ultimate objective is we need to automate the networks with an intent on the fly. And there had been a number of approaches, maybe a CI/CD, a more typical cloud ways to automate it. But then naturally, you need to combine the infrastructure or platform automation with that of application. And the question becomes, right, can AI can help there, or you really need to rely on the typical workflow automation? We will be exploring about both some like blueprints and architectures, how automation will be supported with AI with some use cases today. So this is more like a journey of automation, how we started and where the industry is going. So, if we see the situation today, again, where exactly the business stands today, it can vary whether you are talking about a telecom network or an enterprise network. But then, naturally, this path, the states remains true, right? So, you can be on state one or two or three and imperative also look in terms of the current state of the automation and orchestration. Most of the telco customers today sits between state one or two, which is somewhere between imperative and declarative. And as you can see, right, like the imperative ones are those platforms where you will write some sort of blueprints or playbooks and deployment tasks which are semi-automated, right? And ultimately, you can consider you will write a YAML, a Tosca, or a workflow, and then it will be executed step by step, following more like a procedural guidebook. But then where we want to go that instead of all of those declared in a workflows in a sequential way, we really want to move towards a declarative way. And the idea is go more a policy driven or intent driven way, and you will declare the end state and what is the policy to which to comply with, and then the system does the rest, right? I mean, it will enforce correct deployments, and one of the key intelligence it will have to also observe and fix the drift. Again, I will really call out some of the current limitations of the telco kit of practices today. There is a famous one which the Walmart team presented during the last KubeCon around the limitations of GitOps and why the drift detection is becoming the key. And then we will talk about the journey towards the real autonomous networks. Again, today, most of the big telcos, at least, are heavily investing to achieve a sort of level 4 automation, which is heavily dependent and reliant on the AI. And one of the key trend which is coming is like using a conversational AI, right? Conversational AI, I should rather say. You should be able to program the platform and configure the platform declare the policy step by step, right? We call it more like agentic workflows, where the idea is to achieve a desired state of accuracy by following not one step but a multi step approach. And in each step, you will be going from a more accurate and performant AI system. Why it becomes the key? If you remember the slide I was showing in terms of very complex domains and how it needs to stitch together, so you really need to carry the intelligence between the different layers, and that is where it becomes the key, right? Like, and I really want to emphasize on this last domain that you should look at the different layers, each coming with some AI sort of engine or solution, and then you need to close the loop over the top to make it work. And if I really now talk about the some of the architectures and how you can do it, right? So this is more like a more realistic mapping, and again on top you will see a number of industry standards which are converging together to make it work, right? And the most important point, I was seeing some LinkedIn post from Vincent Calderia from Red Hat, close friend, and he was also quoting rather a quote from Satya Nadella that all of those AI and agentic AI ultimately needs a cloud and an orchestration and an AI acceleration. So look, you really need to start thinking on the foundation, right? You can only build a castle if the foundation is right. And in this context, the cloud stack really becomes the key here. And intelligent infra orchestration is really the secret glue, which becomes the most important piece. If you see the boxes on the right, I try to divide them between a cloud or intelligent cloud rather, and an intelligent workload orchestration piece. And then naturally, if you can see over here, if the solution needs to be federated, which you can see on the right, but then fully distributed, because you really need to see that there will be many in deployment instances of different size. We typically call it a cloudlet, from the radio domain to the edge domain to the core domain to the OSS domain to the enterprise domain, and each of this needs to be controlled and orchestrated centrally, but then all via a more like a GitOps and automated workflow framework, right? And we have to ensure the running infrastructure converges the desired state, and you actually need to just declare the state, and that state is declared through a conversational AI. And that is an architecture heavily we are promoting in FEO blueprints, NUCAT, as well as TMF autonomous network. So you when you are building your network, you really need to see this context into this. And lastly, I will be talking about the use cases and the art of the possible. Again, as I said, right, this type of approach, you really need to link with a business target and how you can do it. Again, I will be focusing on a use cases which we did with our partner Red Hat in this case. And what thing we actually did, right? We actually built a very programmable, intelligent orchestration layer, and then as we deployed and integrated it with infrastructure and intelligent applications, same architecture I was showing, right? We were actually enabling a workflow programming. And in this case is more like the programming of the data flows. So we all know lot of TCP and TCP, SYNFIN and sliding window and lot of crazy stuff happening, which is dictating both the user experience and how when he's browsing and especially on video. And we were able to actually program with a new algorithm, right? And this is a sort of results, right? So as you can see, we reduce both the latency and experience and the speed, and it is actually relying on some very smart algorithms, right? I think it's uh, like algorithm name perhaps I'm just forgetting, but maybe I will write a separate video on this topic. But then the idea is on the fly, right? You implement a AI driven FEC, right? And this protocol is RNLNC, right? And you will on the dynamic, right, program and adjust the window to make sure the right use case and experience. And why it becomes the key here, right? Without the right infrastructure layer and an application coherence between the two, you can't make it work. So that's pretty much the blueprint and direction towards autonomous AI. I hope it makes sense, and thank you for keep learning in a meaningful way. I hope you enjoyed this current episode. If so, join the movement, like, subscribe, promote, and I will be waiting for you for and come back with another episode of AI climbing with Chick. Thank you very much for now.